and watching him struggle in a lot of situations where not only do I think I could do what Volkanovski did, but I can even do better.
What up, everyone? Shaquille Mahjoudi here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is the UFC's number 4 ranked lightweight contender. Doesn't sound right, but is what it is. Fighting Charles Oliveira in the co-main event of UFC 289 on Saturday. A fighter as well seasoned as the salt and pepper in his hair. Beneil Dariush, how's it going, my man?
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yes, usually people have the comfort of being behind a computer screen when I do these bombastic intros, but you get it live in the flesh.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, can't complain. Vancouver's nice. People are nice. So no complaints that you're here.
Very cool, man. Dude, it's so nice to do this in person. It's long overdue. There's so much to break down. I mean, you've been on a media frenzy. Every day I'm seeing new headlines pop up. The YouTube videos are populating your feed. Let's talk very quickly about the fight and the stakes here. You've told multiple publications that you have been told by the UFC this is a lightweight title shot should you beat Charles Oliveira in Vancouver. Is it confirmed that that fight, you versus Islam, should you beat Charles, will be UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi in October?
I haven't been confirmed about him and I fighting in Abu Dhabi, but I was told I would get the title shot. So I don't know the details specifically, but I was told, yeah, if I win this fight, I'm number 1 contender and I'm fighting for the title.
All right. Well, long overdue. I know it's something you feel that has been deserved already between the wonderful winning streak that you've had in the division. I know you had to sit down with the UFC in the lead up to this fight, just trying to figure out what is in store for you. You felt like you were the deserving number 1 contender. Perhaps the UFC had a different idea. What is your understanding right now of how the UFC perceives you, what you mean to this division, what you mean to the future of lightweight?
I think as an athlete, they appreciate me and what I'm able to do. I think they get a little frustrated with me in terms of the entertainment aspect of it. You know, I don't get stuck in a lot of the drama, and I don't follow the there's like this cookie cutter method that you could follow through and basically promote your fights, and it's just not who I am, so I don't do it. That being said, I think that frustrates the UFC a little bit, and my lack of presence on a social media. But I think besides that, actually, we have a great relationship. I have a good relationship with Dana, and so there's really no problems. You know, people are like, this guy has to fight so many people. He should have got a title shot already. Listen, as long as you put guys like Gamrot in front of me, Charles in front of me, you won't hear me complain.
Have you noticed, I know you and I kind of talked about it with another video that we did, but have you noticed sort of like this groundswell of support for you where it feels like people are starting to get as anxious for you to get that title shot as perhaps you have been at times?
Yeah. Honestly, it's incredible. I have never had this much support, and you know, when I have interviews or whatever, I've never had so many people like sending me my own interview, be like, "Oh, I saw this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you." And then in terms of views, in terms of everything, it's just this is definitely, in terms of viewership, this is the peak of my career, and it's not something I really focus on, but I notice it, obviously.
There's a conversation I had with Bilal Muhammad, who I think is in a little bit of a similar position as you, where the winning record in a meritocratic system would dictate, I think, a title shot at this point, and yet we still kind of see him behind Colby Covington, allegedly, in the queue. And there's a conversation I had with him, a question I asked him that I'd like to pose to you. When, and at the times where it feels frustrating, where perhaps you aren't getting the opportunities that the record suggests you should be getting, how do you stop that frustration from turning into something that hinders you and use it as something that's going to fuel you? How do you not get distracted by that feeling?
I think the simplest way I could put it is I'm a God-fearing man, so my stress, my fear, my whatever it is, I give it to him. You know, I share my problems with him, and it relieves me of my fear and stress. So, and then I can also put myself in other people's shoes after I do that, and it just makes life a lot easier. I'm not constantly feeling like the world, I'm, holding the weight of the world on my shoulders, or I got a chip on my shoulder, or whatever. I enjoy what I do. So, just at this point, I just want to be able to get inside the octagon. That's really my goal.
Let's talk about the octagon. I know you wanted the Islam fight. Candidly, I, as a consumer, have been begging for this Charles Oliveira match. When I think of the most exciting in-cage performers in this division, I know we've got the BMF title fight coming up, Dustin versus Justin, but I mean, you and Charles have developed into these fighters that are so dangerous and so action-oriented wherever it goes, standing on the ground. When you sort of assess you versus Charles, it's two traditionally submission specialists who have now turned into these dynamic strikers. I know you are confident that you possess many of the strengths here, but when you assess the fight, where is Charles going to be the most problematic, and vice versa? Where are you going to give him the most challenge?
I think, obviously, the greatest challenge Charles presents is his offensive mindset. And I think for him, the greatest challenge I possess is my durability. What happens when you throw every one of your kicks and knees and elbows and punches and takedowns, and it doesn't affect me. It doesn't do what it needs to do. Are you going to be able to just keep rinse and repeat, or are you going to start getting worn down and you're going to see me come alive? I think these are some issues he's going to have to deal with, and I think for me it really is just being so sound technically that I can overcome the storm that is Charles's offense.
Danny Segura from MMA Junkie, during Charles's title run, sort of put out a tweet about how Charles has almost sort of implemented his own standing 10 count, like a boxing system almost, because he gets hurt, he drops to his back, and most fighters aren't going to approach him there, so it gives him as much time as he needs to recover. I have a hunch that approach may not be as effective against someone like you.
Yeah, 100%. That is not an option for him. If he gets hurt standing and it's time to go to the ground, I'm going to the ground, and I'm confident in the ground game. Whether I get the takedown or whether I knock him down, or even if he takes me down, I'm still confident in the ground game. So I'm not too worried about his what he does when it's recovery time, because I think I could keep the stress on him. I think it's more important for me to be technically sound throughout the fight, and a knockdown happens, great. A takedown happens, great. But if not, whatever.
Fun fact for the UFC stats people: I could be a digit off here, but as far as I remember, Charles Oliveira is officially 0-4 when fighting in Canada. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Shoot, I didn't know that, but I'm not really a numbers guy. It's God who decides who wins and loses, and I'm a genuine believer in that. And it's God who gives us our talents, and I'm not a superstitious man, so I leave it in his hands.
We talked about this in a video we did where you sort of re-ranked the UFC lightweight top 10 as you saw fit. But I'm curious, for those who haven't yet watched that video but will now go and do that, I hope. What sort of confidence did it instill in you and your chances against Islam Makhachev watching the Alexander Volkanovski fight?
Watching that fight, I really believed I could beat this guy. I believe I have the skill sets to beat him. I have the wrestling, I have the jiu-jitsu, I have the striking. And then watching him fight Volkanovski and watching him struggle in a lot of situations where not only do I think I could do what Volkanovski did, but I can even do better, it just gives me a lot of confidence. So Lord willing, I overcome Charles Saturday, and then I look forward to facing Makhachev.
It's almost surreal for me to see this run you've been on, right? 8 straight wins, coming off the Mateusz Gamrot and Tony Ferguson wins, 4 straight stoppages, 3 were performance bonuses. You would have had a 4th with that spinning, back fist KO of Scott Holtzman. Right before this started, though, you got knocked out by Alexander Hernandez in 42 seconds. I think if a fan came into the sport in the last 2 years and you told them that, they wouldn't believe you. Yeah. What's the biggest difference between the Beneil Dariush sitting here today and the one who suffered that kind of upset loss to Hernandez 5 years ago?
I think if you told a seasoned fan of MMA in what was it, 2018? Yeah, 2018, that this guy's gonna go on to put on like this kind of record, they would tell you, nah, I don't think so. I don't see it happening. I'll be honest with you, man. I really believe God is in the business of Rolling Stones. That's a song that I come out to, actually. The Still Rolling Stones. What that means is basically bringing the dead back to life. My career was dead. It was over. And nobody thought I was going to make a comeback, including me. I'll be honest with you guys. I spent months in prayer. Like, should I keep fighting? I was on the verge of retiring. And little things here, little things there. I started to feel better. And I said, I'm going to make one more attempt. If it doesn't work out, this is it. So, and now we're here. So God is still in the business of Rolling Stones, I guess.
Well, and very clearly, if you weren't aware now, I think you get the sense throughout this interview that your faith is something very near and dear to you. I was reminded, and I put out a Q&A thread, and someone brought this up, and I was reminded of Rory McDonald, former UFC welterweight title challenger, who was at a bit of a crossroads at some point where he was having trouble with his faith and the idea of inflicting violence on others inside the cage. Is that something you've ever sort of tussled with, or how do you sort of parse through that as it pertains to your relationship with a higher power?
Fortunately for me, it didn't take me long to get past this. I had a talk with my pastor and things like that, but here's the conclusion I came to. If I go inside, sorry about that. If I go inside this octagon with hatred in my heart and I hate the person in front of me, now I've committed a sin. Now it's violence. But since we're both signing up for this is not me going in there and bullying the guy. This is a 50-50 kind of, it's an agreement. There's a big difference between an agreement and me just attacking someone. So there goes the violence part. And then as long as there's no hate, like I mentioned earlier, there goes the sin. Now it's a competition. And as far as, to be honest with you, my greatest motivation is actually this. I believe God has given me this talent. And because he's given me this talent, like, there's no days where I could slack off. I have to make sure I turn every stone in order to fulfill what I fulfill my duties for the gift that I've been given. So I don't squander this gift. So I leave no stone unturned because of that. I want to be the best fighter in the world because I know God has given me something. And the belt is amazing. It would be kind of a proof of that, right? But the belt is not that important to me. For me, is to make sure I go into that octagon 100% ready to fight, prepared the best that I can be, and then finally, after the fight's done, making sure the world knows that it's not by my strength, it's by his strength.
Before we finish up on some lighter stuff, I was wondering if we could talk very briefly about your post-fight speech in the last fight.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the thing. I thought it might be something that you've seen. Obviously, there's a terrible humanitarian crisis going on in Iran, the people against the government there. I know, as a fellow Persian, when your post-fight interview came out, there was some back and forth amongst people in my community where they were so grateful that you used your platform to shine a spotlight on what's going on there. But as I'm sure you know, faith can be sort of a divisive topic, and I think some people felt that maybe tying in your faith sort of distracted people from the humanitarian crisis. I was just wondering, if you thought about that at all. Not that you have to agree or disagree, but I'm wondering if it ever came up to you after the fact.
I've seen it. And what I would tell people is this: in terms of freedom, genuine freedom comes from Jesus. It comes from Christ. And then an example of it and the evidence of it is that you look at these Western cultures. Western cultures are built on Judeo-Christian values, and because they're built on Judeo-Christian values, they value a human being. And so freedom, they give freedom, whether you're low-born or high-born or whatever. That is genuine freedom, and the evidence of it is Western culture. You don't find more freedom in a place other than the Western cultures. If you go anywhere else, it's not like that. Humans are not valued the same. So you may not like what I'm saying right now, but if you look at the evidence, that's the truth. So, I'm sorry you want me to say things the way you want to say it, but if that's the case, then I want you to say things the way I want you to say them. But that's it. It goes back to freedom again. You have your will, I have my will. Let freedom reign. Let whoever wants to do whatever they want to do.
Book yourself a top 10 UFC lightweight fight.
Yeah.
On pay-per-view.
That too.
What's one thing that people, I want to give a shout out to my fellow Iranians. What's one thing about Iranian culture and heritage that people would maybe not be as aware of? I think the dinner parties are like GOAT status.
Bro, listen, when it comes to music and poetry, I don't think anything comes close to Persians. Assyrians are very good as well. I listen to a lot of Assyrian music as well, and I'm Assyrian. So when I say this, this is something I truly believe. Persian music and Persian poetry is absolutely amazing. It's not even comparable. I don't think anything else is even comparable. And I say that even though I know that the newer generation and the newer music is not as good, and it's just sometimes it's trash actually. But I also know how good it can be.
Fair enough. I'll have to show you some artwork later.
Please.
All right. As we begin to wrap up, thank you so much for your time and your candor. I'm sure people are wanting to know, so very quickly before we finish off on some off-the-cuff rapid fire, can I get very quickly your official prediction for Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2?
It's going to be an elevation, right?
Yes.
I think Justin Gaethje's... Nah, I'm going to go 5 rounds. I'm going to go decision for Justin Gaethje.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Conor versus Chandler, the two not top 10 UFC lightweights in Daniel's opinion. People were split on that.
Yeah, is my opinion that it's going to happen or it's not going to happen?
Okay, let's assume it happens because I think your statement just suggested where your heart may lie on that.
I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I do. But as far as the win, it's tricky because I think if Conor was, in the game fighting on a regular basis, he takes it no problem. But, he's not. He's been out for a while. Chandler's been in the heat, fighting tough guys. But also the issue is Chandler is not the guy who, follows the game plan. So I'm still leaning towards Conor, but I feel like as time goes further forward, I'm starting to rethink my decision, but I'm still leaning towards Conor. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Now, as we hit sort of the rapid fire segment of this to close off, I was, scrolling through the web, sort of preparing for this interview, and a photo came by my feed, and it was you versus Gamrot, and we'll put it up on the display for everyone later. But poor guy gets a nasty Beneil Dariush toe up his nose. What is the grossest, weirdest thing that has ever occurred to you, either in a fight or in sparring? I think about the time, I can't remember which female it was, but one of the women's fighters got a toenail that cut her across the eyeball. I
think it was Zingano, right?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the things that I remember really right away that come to my mind, one time somehow my knee hit the cage and split open. I had to go get stitches. Ended up getting infected. Pokes in the eyes. I don't know why, but I can't forget them. Pokes in the eyes. I feel like when I'm older, I'm going to have eye problems. So far, so good, though. I'm going to have eye problems, and I feel like there's more. Oh, whenever I break my nose, it makes it makes this crunchy noise. It's just, one time it was with Hoffa. I broke my nose. The other time was a while back with the Tony Martin fight. I broke my nose. It just makes this crunch noise that it's not the most painful, but it's just gross. Yeah. As far as disgusting goes, that noise just grosses me out.
Okay. What would your wife say is your most annoying quality? But maybe not in we have to have a talk about this more. Just something kind of amusing. Like when I'm playing video games with the surround sound headset on, I am screaming at the top of my lungs. I mean, the landlords can hear me upstairs.
I would say I haven't been reading as much lately, but I read a lot of manga and comics. So my wife will get upset with me, be like, "Hey, come on, spend some time with me." You know, you don't miss out on the kids. You take care of the kids, but when you forget about me when you get a break. That's one. But I haven't been reading. It's been a while since I've read. The other thing is I just obsess. I have an obsessive personality. I have to be really careful of it because I make things idols. I was talking to you earlier about coffee.
Yep. I
could go into that and I could spend, how do you roast the beans? How do you do an espresso and it comes out with the best pressure and the best flavor and the pour, whatever it may be. I can obsess over it. For a while there was, how do I get the best heart rate, like conditioning wise and things like that. So I just have to be careful not to do that.
Give me your top 3 manga animes of all time. And maybe let's not go all time, but the ones that have had the biggest impact or influence on you.
As far as reading goes, the best one is Berserk. Unfortunately, the creator passed away, but I think they're going to try to finish it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. Berserk is the best one I've ever read. I know it's generic, but One Piece does have this long storyline, and it's quite good though, and they've done a better job as developing it over time, and that's the reason why it's still around, right? Third one, I feel like if I say Naruto, it'd be too easy, but
soft spot.
It is. But I'm just trying to think. I wish I had a list of all the stuff I read because it's like hundreds.
Okay.
That's the problem, and I can't think of them all right now. Oh, another one for reading. This is actually Korean, so I'm getting a little bit of everything. It's Solo Leveling. That's an easy one for everyone to read and really just fall in love with quickly. It starts. The premise, it starts around like you kind of like level up, almost like a video game, but then it turns into something much bigger. So it's cool.
I always have to take a moment like this to shout out Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood specifically.
Yes, the Brotherhood is the real one. The other one is
They diverged. Yeah. They caught up to the manga.
Exactly.
If I'm throwing you're taking me down a rabbit hole that's going to make this video way too long, but I'm going to see if you're down for this. We can stop after this. If I were to give you the name of like people in the UFC, would you be able to name their manga counterpart?
Maybe.
Okay, let's try. If I were to say Dana White, who comes to mind?
Dana White? Shoot, now I'm thinking of I went to Marvel. I was thinking of Kingpin, but
Yo, that's a good one though. The suit, the head.
But he's a lot leaner now, so I don't know.
He got pretty jacked
yeah, so that would have been a good one.
Let's keep it open. Anyone fictional, okay? Sean O'Malley.
Sean O'Malley. Simpsons Sideshow Bob. No disrespect. It's just, when his hair's big and poofy.
Krusty the Clown.
Yeah.
Maybe the clown from One Piece.
No.
Okay, I'm liking this. Fabricio Verdum.
Fabricio Verdum. Like the characters from Baki the Grappler. I don't know if you've seen them. Some of them huge, lots of tattoos, and that's one thing that reminds me of him.
I'm thinking about rewatching Ultimate Muscle just to relive my childhood right now.
That is actually so old. I actually didn't watch all of it. That's how old it is. So you would be one ahead of me.
Okay, Conor McGregor.
Conor, let me think. Conor McGregor. Trying to think, because I was gonna say Gaara. Gaara from Naruto, but like the personalities don't match.
Very brooding.
Yeah, exactly. So the personalities don't really match.
Diego Sanchez almost gives me Gaara vibes.
Yeah. Just I was thinking more of the hair, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one.
Last one, Francis Ngannou.
Francis. Bro, he's the juggernaut.
Yeah,
it's like not even. He is. He look at him, man. He's just built different.
All right, Beneil, I've taken up enough of your time. This has been so much fun. I want to leave you with the last word. I'll do my part very quickly. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you're still here, please subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Let us know what is your official prediction for Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush, the co-main event, the people's main event of UFC 289 in Vancouver on Saturday. Also, since Beneil fell a little short here, which fictional character does Conor McGregor remind you most of? Beneil, if there's anything you want to let the people know, the floor is yours, my man.
We were talking about Persian music. I feel like I should give at least one song. And, he's definitely my favorite musician in Persian music goes. Reza Sadiqi. He's got a song. He sings it. I think it was written by someone else, but it's called Nafas. I sing it to my kids, and it's been such a great song because one day I hope when they're old enough I can explain it to them what it means, but like it's perfect.